What's going on, everyone? This is the Noah Gillian Show, and I, of course, am your host, Noah Gillian. So happy you decided to tune in today. It is the 13th of October, 2023, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the divisional series around Major League Baseball and a certain team from Philadelphia ousting a certain team from Atlanta. Before we get into the show, though, please hit that subscribe button. If you're joining us on YouTube, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, please give us that 5-star review. It really helps the podcast grow. It's a great way to support. Also, if you could find us on Twitter, Instagram, all our handles will be in the description below. If you're watching on YouTube, I got the show's accounts right here on screen for you. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it because the fightin' said. That's what I'm talking about, baby. The Fightins are all the way back. I mean, we thought it was a Cinderella run last year, and it was to a certain degree. But the boys are just... The boys cannot be held down. Absolutely cannot. They are just dripping with confidence right now. And they just straight up ousted the best team in baseball in the regular season. It was just an absolutely dominant showing from the boys in red pinstripes. I mean, I can't even verbally describe. I'm going to try to. I can't even describe the emotions of the divisional series that we just went through because this team is honestly one of the most tight-knit, just swagger-infused, just dominant ball clubs in all of sports. It's been such a joy to watch this team gel into a superpower. I mean, it is unbelievable the power of friendship has on a team in professional sports because you don't see it. You literally do not see what the Phillies have in their clubhouse. You don't see it ever. Maybe every once in a while, but you do not see what the Phillies have, and it has been absolutely outstanding. Combination of big money, combination of superstars, combination of clutch, combination of just cool, combination of dudes, combination of just everything, fans, environment, everything. I mean, it is absolutely astonishing to see what these Phillies are doing, and it's been a magical ride. They had a great regular season, ups and downs, but they had 90 wins, great regular season, great first round against the Marlins, but we all knew this was going to be the test. We knew we were going to have to go through Atlanta, and boy, did we ever. I mean, I'm not trying to get too jazzed up because it's only a division series. We got 2 rounds. We got 8 more wins, Topper. We got 8 more wins to go. But that was as juiced up as ever. I mean, there was more emotion in this series, bar none, than last year. No doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt. Last year, we were excited, obviously, to get that win, and but just the celebration was so much more juiced up. It felt like because there was so much more in it. And I can't wait to dive in and talk about everything that unfolded. But they did beat the Braves 3-1, of course, so they will be advancing to the National League Championship Series, and they will host the Arizona Diamondbacks, an absolute team out of left field after they swept the Los Angeles Dodgers on their side of the bracket. The Dodgers were the number 1 seed in all. No, they weren't. Were they? Were the Dodgers the number 1 seed? Am I tripping? The Dodgers were the Dodgers were number 2 seed. We went through the number 1 seed, Atlanta, right? I don't know why I slipped my mind there. Regardless, the Dodgers were the number 2 seed in the National League. Only had less win than the Orioles and the Braves, so they were pretty much the 3rd best team in baseball through the regular season. And they just absolutely backed into their show. We'll get to them at the end of the show. This is where to start with the Phils, and we'll get to the Diamondbacks and Dodgers series after that. But they will host the Diamondbacks, case in point. They will have home field advantage in this National League Championship Series, something that has proven to be absolutely diabolical for the Fightins. They have the best winning percentage of any team in Major League history in their home park. That is Citizens Bank Park. It's over a 700 win percentage in the postseason, which is just unbelievable. And they just did it in so many ways. I'll start off with the Phils. We'll run through a lot of what went into the Phillies winning this series, game by game. The Phils won game 1 3-0. Absolutely dominant pitching performances and just great bullpen work. Ended up winning 3-0. Ended up losing game 2 4-5 after blowing a 4-run lead. And then an absolutely outstanding play from Braves center fielder Michael Harris to double up Bryce Harper on a ridiculous, almost home run robbery of Nick Castellanos. Which, if the ball hit the fence and he missed it, it's a tie ball game. If the ball goes over the fence, they're down. So Michael Harris made an unbelievable play, got the ball in, and Austin Riley made a phenomenal backup on the play to throw Bryce Harper out at first base. Great game, comeback from the Braves. Phillies obviously blow a 4-0 lead. Game 3 was the absolute slugfest. The Phils go out and they hit 6 home runs, a franchise MLB record, tied for MLB record. And that was the Bryce Harper Orlando Arcia stare down game, 10-2. And then last night, my heart is still recovering from that 3-1 victory that the Phils had in Game 4. Just an absolutely outstanding series. Arguably should have been a sweep for the Phillies. They blew that 4-run lead in game 2. So, there was a really, really real chance that, they definitely could have swept the Braves in this one, which just shows you how hot the Phils are at this juncture. This is the number 1 team in all of baseball, the number 1 seed across either team, either conference, either league. Was the Atlanta Braves, one of the most potent offenses in the league, the likely MVP and the likely Cy Young winner on their same team. They have multiple 30 home run hitters. They had the MLB home run leader in Matt Olson. It go up and down the lineup with what they had. And the Phils just literally put them in a corner and said, you stay there and don't get up. And that's exactly what they did. So first off, where else can we start other than Bryce Harper? Bryce Harper is literally the perfect Philadelphia athlete. He is. It's simple as that. And I was having a conversation with some friends the other day. He is the premier athlete in Philadelphia. And I don't want to make this a comparison of, players against each other that are arguably a part of, my favorite teams, a part of the fabric of Philadelphia. But when you look around the city, Bryce Harper, has won a Most Valuable Player award in the Pinstripes for his city, and also has shown up consistently in the postseason. It's it's getting to a point now where if Bryce Harper comes up in a clutch spot, he's getting the job done. And that does not happen in baseball. Baseball is one of the few sports that the bat can be taken out of your hand. The ball is not getting taken out of Michael Jordan's hands. I guarantee you that. It is not getting taken out of Michael Jordan's hands. Jalen Hurts leading a fourth quarter drive, the ball is not getting taken out of his hands willingly. He is getting the snap every single play that the Eagles are on offense. When Bryce Harper steps to the plate and there's a base open, he is going to be walked. They will not face him. But what does he do? He comes up and he answers the bell every time. Let's start in game 1. The Phils are up 1-0. It's a tight ball game. Spencer Strider is absolutely dealing. And what does he do? Tank to right field off Spencer Strider. Just pushes the lead out to 2-0. Ranger and the bullpen were absolutely dealing in this game. They were getting out in and out of jams, and Bryce just extended that lead even more, and just an absolute tank. And then was on base for JT, scored a run in game 2, was active in that game, 1 for 4. And then in game 3 is what you pay this man for. Comes up in the 3rd inning. The Braves have been talking about him. I'll get to that. I have plenty of comments about the Braves, don't worry. And they've been talking about him in the media. And what does he do in that second? Boom! Second deck tank. And watched it too. Stood at the plate and said, damn, I cranked that. And then he took and he went, stared down Arcia going around second base. Just cold-blooded. And then I'll hit another one in the 6th inning just for good measure and stare at Arcia again. And then last night, even though he didn't contribute in terms of home runs, 1-for-2 with 2 walks, got on base 3 times. Like, and got intentionally walked in the first inning, and then had another walk later in the game. Got a single 100-mile-an-hour exit velocity single off Spencer Strider. So, like, this guy, like, take away anything in this series, just like, this is a microcosm. This series was a microcosm of the Bryce Harper experience in Philadelphia. You watch him at the podium after Game 3. I love this place. I people think I'm corny and all this stuff, but and he's like staring the reporter in the eye like, I love this place. Like, and you can just feel it. Like, a lot of guys, and he says it all the time, like, people think I pander, and people like, no, it's so real. And like, there's a lot of players in professional sports that you can kind of tell sometimes, like, they like where they play, but like, that's obviously not where their heart is. You can tell every single time Bryce Harper takes a field, he gets behind a microphone. You know, anytime Bryce Harper has a chance to just prop up the city of Philadelphia, just put the Phillies on his back, wear it across his chest, like, anytime that he can, he does, and he goes in the post-game media. I love, like, there's no place like this. Like, there's no place. The best fans in the world, the best fans in any sport, like, any time he can do that, he does. And then he goes out and he performs every single day. He busts his ass every single day. That's all you ask for. That's literally all we ask for in Philadelphia. Bust your ass, play hard every single day, and accept when you're bad, because you are going to be bad at sometimes, especially in the game of baseball. Hall of Famers get to the or players get to the Hall of Fame failing 7 times out of 10. And the fact that he just comes up clutch so often. I'm at a game against the Braves, or excuse me, against the Giants in August for my birthday. Bryce comes up, 2 men on, down 3 in the 9th inning. And I'm just like, I think he's going to go yard here. Why not? Why wouldn't he? Home run off the foul pole. Like, great. And then we go to a game in September. They're against the Braves. They're really, really struggling. Bryce is up 4th in the inning. I say, before the inning even starts, if Bryce Harper gets to the plate this inning, this game's going to be tied. And we're down 2 runs. Trey Turner hits a little, a really weak grounder to shortstop, throws it away. Matt Olson bobbles it at first base. Bryce Harper comes up, first pitch, tank, tie ball game. Like, this guy is one of the most clutch athletes I have ever seen in my life. I'm so grateful that he plays for the Philadelphia Phillies, because, like, we could have had anybody. Like, no disrespect to Manny Machado, arguably just as good of a player as Bryce Harper, like, arguably even a better player than Bryce Harper. He doesn't fit Philadelphia like Bryce Harper fits Philadelphia. He signed a 13-year contract, no opt-outs, no trade clause. I want to be here. And he does. Every single game, he puts it out on the line. And I could go on and on and on about Bryce, just like Bryce could go on and on and on about the city of Philadelphia, because it is truly unbelievable what he does for the city of Philadelphia. Single-handedly turned the Phillies into, I mean, he was the first one. I mean, Reese was here and Nola was here, but after Bryce, then we signed Wheeler, then we signed Castellanos, then we signed Schwarber, then we signed Trey. You know, and he's and also what Bryce, he's vocal about young guys getting an opportunity. And what does that do? That instills confidence in the young guys. Bomer and Bryson Stott have had massive moments in the playoffs and throughout the season. Like, every box Bryce Harper could check, he does. And we're just so lucky to have him in his prime play for the Philadelphia Phillies. The only thing we can hope for is he brings that commissioner's trophy back to Philadelphia and he gets every single one a ring, because that speech at the art museum is going to be legendary if we can get it done. So that's my little rant on Bryce Harper. My goodness, I didn't know it was going to go that long. But that being said, we'll move on to the next beautiful Philadelphia. Nick Castellanos is truly regaining his all-star form at the perfect time. And the thing with Nick that is so important to this team is he came out after game 2, which it was his fly ball that Michael Harris caught and then, you know, threw it in and got doubled off Bryce. He said, listen, we got punched in the mouth, but one of the best things about this team is we respond getting punched in the mouth. Like, we like it. And I'm just like, God damn. And what does he do? Game 3, right? What does he do? Game 3. Ozzie Albies in the third inning singles home Acuna. This is after the Braves win. It's 1-1 in Philly. First inning, quiet. Second inning, quiet. Top of the third inning, Acuna gets on. First to third, Ozzie Albies, and then Trey boots it, and Acuna scores. And you're kind of thinking like, oh no, here we go. Castellanos, bottom of the third inning, homer. Solo home run to lead off the inning and just go punch you right back. Listen, it's a tie ball game. You might score first, but we're going to come back. And then obviously Bryce hit that mammoth 3-run tank. JT doubled home 2, and the rest is history in game 3. But Nick Castellanos did the same thing in game 4. Austin Riley hits a home run in the top of the 4th inning. It was, the Phillies left probably 5 runners on in the first 3 innings. And then the 4th inning comes around. Austin Riley hits this wall scraping home run. Nick Castellanos in the 4th inning, tank, 404 feet, tank to left field, pimped it, absolutely pimped it. And they fed off that. It woke the crowd right back up, and you could feel it in game 3, the subdued nature of the crowd relative to how they normally are. It was kind of like a little anxious energy, and then Nick just woke them up, and it's such an important thing for him specifically. I think it's so important that he was able to do that, and really just get the crowd going, continue to keep the momentum going, and really, do his thing, because he was so crucial this season. He was our lone all-star representative as a hitter. Kimbrel was later added, obviously, as a pitcher, but he has been everything we've wanted and more. Obviously had a tough year last year, had great moments in the playoffs, so he was great in that aspect. But this year has just been another level, and that's the guy we signed for $100 million. That's the guy we expected to get on that contract. And lucky for us, he's here for 3 more years, because, I can't wait to see what else he does, especially in this playoff run, and especially with the remainder of this 5-year contract, because he's been an absolute home run of a signing. Another home run of a signing, Trey Turner is truly one of the best players in all of baseball, and I hate that I was getting so much hate throughout the season that, listen, you got to support this guy. And I'm not going to take credit for the standing ovation. Obviously, that's not me. I'm not doing that. Jack Fritz, WIP, takes credit for that, 100%. But Trey Turner signed a $300 million contract after being one of the best players in baseball for a World Series champion in the Washington Nationals and a perennial 100-win team with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And then he comes to Philadelphia and struggles. And everyone's like, dude, we overpaid. Why did we sign this guy? He stinks now. We gave him all this money all these years. He's already 30. Come on. And you're seeing why you did that, because he alters the game in so many ways. I got to add up, he was a menace on the base paths. He stole 2 bags in game 1. I believe he had 5 bags in the series. I'd have to double check on that specifically. But just an absolute stud. So we had, let me just add this up real quick, because I want to make sure that we have the right thing here. Yeah, Turner, 2 bags in game 1. 2 bags in game 1, and then he had no bags in game 3, but he did have a bag in game 4. No bags in game 4. Yes, 1 bag. I don't know. Regardless, a menace on the base path, just an absolute freight train, stealing bases, making the catchers worry about it. All that stuff. And then he found his power stroke in the last 2 games. 2 home runs, back-to-back games, then 3 and 4. His defensive play in game 1 was phenomenal. He had multiple defensive lapses, mental lapses in the field, so I don't want to abstain him completely and say he's a perfect ball player, but he also made massive plays when they mattered most. So I just think that was really, really important. But also, you're just getting the full Trey Turner experience here. Guy who's hitting for average, guy who's hitting for power, guy who's got ridiculous speed, guy who plays a good shortstop. It's always been one thing. He's never been an elite shortstop, but he's always been very good. So you expect some errors here and there, but he showed up when the time came, and just an absolute stud, and he's got a good arm as well. So a true 5-tool player, an absolute steal that the Phillies were able to get him in his prime. And I wrote an article actually early in the year of who should be the leadoff hitter for the Phillies. You know, I put my hat in the ring for Trey Turner. I thought he's a prototypical leadoff hitter, all that stuff. Kyle Schwarber can move into more of an RBI spot. But Trey's perfect in the 2-hole behind Schwarber because Schwarber has the ability for so much power. Obviously, 47 home runs in the regular season. Like in case the bottom of the lineup gets hot and then Schwarber can break the game open. But because he hits for such a low average, it almost is and he walks a lot, even though, you know, so he strikes out a lot, he walks a lot, he hits a lot of homers. He doesn't really ground out a ton, even though he did so in the playoffs. But Trey in the 2-hole is perfect because even if Schwarber can't get it done or he punches out, then Trey's just like right away and he gets it started right away. And then you get Bryce and you go through hitter's row with Castellanos and Bohm and Stott and JT and all them. But I just wanted to give Trey a lot of credit for what he was able to do during this series because we don't win this series without Trey Turner. You know, and Gene Segura, one of my favorite Phillies of all time. You know, went through some tough years with us and got his moment last year and had multiple moments in the playoffs for us. But I don't know if we win. We maybe do, but just the presence that Trey has, the ability to move him, to put him at short and move Bryson to second, where he's playing Gold Glove caliber defense, like he's allowed us to do so much. And he's been in the lineup every day. Really hasn't, obviously, knock on wood, we don't wish it, but really hasn't been hurt all year. And it's just been in the lineup every single day. So that's all you can hope for with a guy like Trey Turner. And, you know, he, since August 4th, since he got the standing ovation, has been one of the best players in baseball. So wanted to give him some props there. Rob Thompson. I mean, let's give a tip of the cap to Rob there. An unbelievable job with his staff. Games 1 and 4 were pretty much bullpen games. Game 1, he only let Ranger go 3 2/3 and then used Jeff Hoffman, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Jose Alvarado, Orion Kirkring, Matt Strahm, Craig Kimbrell, all to cover 6 innings. And they all scoreless. Everyone held it down. They all got holds. Jeff Hoffman got the win. And obviously because Suarez didn't go the necessary 5 innings, but they just absolutely shoved and they did their thing. He pushed all the right buttons at the right time. Jeff Hoffman got a massive strikeout with the bases loaded on Michael Harris in that 4th inning in Game 1. And then the guys just continued. Sir Anthony Dominguez punching tickets with that heater. Alvarado did great. Orion Kirkring looked phenomenal in his first postseason experience. And then Strahm and Kimbrell shut the door in Game 1. And then, he lets Zach Wheeler absolutely dominate. I mean, 5 no-hit innings. And then obviously he gives up the big home run to Travis d'Arnaud in the 7th inning. Velo was coming down. He was kind of running out of gas a little bit, but take nothing away from the performance. 6 1/3 inning, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 10 Ks, tied a franchise record for strikeouts in a game. Just was absolutely unbelievable. They really didn't do anything until the 6th inning and the 7th inning. But overall, Zach Wheeler dominated. And then Aaron Nola came back and shoved 5 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned, 9 Ks, was absolutely dealing. He worked a great bullpen again. And then the masterpiece was Game 4. I mean, he lets Ranger go 5 innings, 1 earned, 2 Ks, did his thing. And then he goes to Sir Anthony for 2/3 of an inning. He goes to Jose Alvarado for an inning. He goes to Craig Kimbrell for an inning. He goes to Gregory Soto for a third. Then he brings in Matt Strahm with 2 on and no out to get the save. And he shuts the door. And I think it's so important because Kimbrell is not a guy who ever pitches in the 6th and 7th inning, but when your manager is so fair and so open and honest with his pitchers, listen, the most important part of the game is right now, and we need you, Craig, right now in the 7th inning. He gets Acuna to fly out, obviously to Johan Rojas in center field, and they get out of it, and then we'll figure it out. But you can't bring Craig in for a safe situation in the 9th if you give away the lead in the 7th. So you bring in your most trusted guys in the 6th and 7th inning, Jose Alvarado, Craig Kimbrell. And I think Thompson understands that. He empowers his guys. And Strahm said it best early in the season. He's like, listen, I'm not a relief pitcher. I'm not a starter. I'm a pitcher. You put me in whenever you need, and I'll try to get the job done until you take the ball from me. I'm going to go out there and shove. And I just love his addition, specifically Strom to the locker room, and then just Thompson just absolutely did everything right. He even gave Brandon Marsh an AB against a lefty last night. I mean, AJ Minter came in, and normally that would signal right away Christian Pache come in, Christian Pache stay in left field. But no, he was like, I like Brandon Marsh. I'm going to trust him in this spot. What does he do? Marsh rewards him with a single, and then he keeps him in left field for his defense. He pushed all the right buttons. Absolutely phenomenal and flawless. I talked about Wheeler already, Nola, Ranger, all three of them absolutely flawless. I mean, not flawless. Wheeler obviously got touched up a tiny bit, but had no hit innings, was striking out everybody and their mother. Aaron Nola was absolutely dominant. And then Ranger just did his thing, did Ranger things. And then the last thing I'll say that I have down, at least, that I want to talk about is Johan Rojas's play in center field in that 7th inning of Game 4. I mean, that's the play of the season. That is literally the play of the season. A close second, Trey Turner's diving play and flip to Bryson Stott in Game 1. Huge. That was monstrous. But, I mean, can we talk about that play real quick by Johan Rojas? Because, unbelievable athleticism. I think Brandon Marsh makes that play, but I don't know. I think Christian Pache makes that play, but I don't know. Johan Rojas is so elite defensively. I don't know if he had a single hit in this entire series, but he played every single inning, and it was never a question about whether he was going to come out or not. So when that ball got hit, and it's so funny, there's a video about, there's a video came about Bryce's homer, and it was with no commentators, just stadium noise. It was the same type of video for Johan Rojas's catch, and it's so funny. Off the bat, the entire stadium just go, and it's dead quiet. Beat reporters and everything, they said after the game they've never heard a packed out ballpark like that, just as quiet as that in a given moment. And then Johan kind of takes a little shimmy and then jumps and makes a play, and then it's and just everything goes nuts. That was absolutely the play of the season for me. I mean, in the regular season included, that was the play of the season. If that gets down, first of all, it's 3-1. Kemble just throws a wild pitch. Pilar gets halfway down the line, and he's like, listen, I'm not taking the bat out of Acuna's hand. I'm going to go back to third. I'm going to let Acuna hit with the bases loaded. And that's fair by me. A lot of people were kind of giving him some flack for not trying to. He's like, oh, you would have scored. Just go home. Well, do I want to get thrown out and take the bat out of Acuna's hands with the bases juiced? I'm sorry, not me. Sorry, not me. So then Acuna gets a hold of that, and if that gets down, that's at least 2 runs, more than likely 3 runs, and then you have Ozzy Albies up with Ronald Acuna in scoring position. So the fact that he was able to make that play, I mean, it's the play of the season for me. Johan Rojas should be our center fielder for the next decade. He is that elite in center field, and I think Kevin Long will get enough out of him as a hitter to be very consistent and utilize some of that power, because he hit it for a good average this year. He hit over 300, 290 for most of the year for a guy that doesn't walk at all, is a very free swinger, and doesn't have elite pop. So he gets the bat on the ball, he hits the ball hard, and he's got ridiculous speed, and I just love it. This was the same reason why I was so adamant about Roman Quinn being in the lineup every single day, because of his speed. It's just a game changer, and his defensive ability was phenomenal. And I think you got that with Johan Rojas, a younger, controllable player. So absolutely, hats off, tip of the cap to Johan Rojas for that play, because it was absolutely phenomenal. All right, now time to get into the Braves, because I have never seen a bigger collection of just crybabies and wimps in my life. I'm sorry, I haven't. You might be calling me a homer, whatever you want me to say. I have never. I mean, it just is disgusting what they uttered in this last, we are playing a game of baseball here, right? We're playing the game of baseball. Who's playing the game of baseball? The baseball players, nobody else. And this is what Ronald Acuna says after the game last night. Quote, when you walk around the clubhouse and feel like you're on eggshells, that sort of thing lingers with a team, Atlanta slugger said after the win. Quote, you have to think, if they don't print everything they hear, all the nasty things they do to us behind our back, this is a different series. We have a clearer mind. They handed Philadelphia the series. They handed Philadelphia the series. I'm sorry. I didn't know Atlanta beat writers were in the lineup for the Braves in Game 4. I'm sorry. I didn't know they were in the lineup when you lost 10-2 in Game 3. Like, are you kidding me? How soft do you have to be that you are blaming reporters for doing their job for the reason that you just lost in the playoffs? I'm sorry, you're the best team in baseball. You are the best offense we've seen since the 1920 Yankees. Murderers Row, the best offense of all time. You are on par with that offense. And you score what? You score what? 7 runs over 4 games? Are you kidding me? And you're going to blame reporters for that? Oh my God, give me a break. This made me so furious. So the backstory on this is Orlando Arcia, after Game 2, was going around the locker room saying, "Attaboy Harper, attaboy Harper." Multiple times it was reported that he was saying that, dancing around the clubhouse, saying that with reporters in the locker room, right? And Arcia acknowledged at the time that reporters were in there and, they're kind of recording things, right? Because that's their job. That's how they pay the bills. And he's like, yeah, whatever. I don't know what he said, but he acknowledged it, right? And then, of course, that makes it back to Bryce, and Bryce just absolutely goes bananas, and he does his thing, and he hits 2 home runs, and he stares at Arcia going around second base, and he probably hits the 2 home runs anyway because he's Bryce Harper, but because of the buildup and the narrative behind it, he goes nuts, and he stares down Arcia, and that's why you lost the series? Like, are you kidding me? I like Ronald Acuna. I really, really like Ronald Acuna and how good he is as a ball player, but you cannot say that. Are you kidding me? Take the Spencer Strider route. Spencer Strider had 2 dominant starts, far from the reason that Atlanta lost this series. And what did he do after the game? He said, listen, we lost. At the end of the day, what can you control? You control your competitiveness. You can control your preparation. You can control your pitch. You can control what you can control. Your preparation, your studying, all that stuff. Everything else is out of your control. They lost. They need to take responsibility for that, and that's exactly what Strider did. I gained a lot of respect for Strider, honestly, from that, from those comments. But dude. They handed Philadelphia the series? Are you kidding me? I have never been so dumbfounded as I was reading that quote for the first time. MVP, the MVP of the National League, 40 home runs and 70 steals. You have the home run leader, Matt Olson. I don't even know if he got a hit in this series. That is just the most Bush League, just disgusting thing that you can do. First of all, to blame a reporter for doing his job. Ugh. I just have, is just so disgusting. And then, second of all the media members attacking this reporter as if he did something egregious. No, he was in the locker room during mandated media sessions in their locker room. And sorry, it was, and this is the best part about the whole thing. He wrote a story that had 24 paragraphs in it. That's what his story had, 24 paragraphs in it. In the 22nd paragraph, the last line, he mentioned that. Attaboy Harper. It wasn't like that was his headline, Arcia's chirping Bryce. I got to put this out there. No, he talked about the game, and he talked about the amazing play by Michael Harris, the amazing home runs by Travis d'Arnaud, and God, what's his freaking name? Austin Riley, and he wrote about all that, and then he said, they were feeling so great, blah, blah, blah. It came down to attaboy Harper and all this stuff, and you're going to get mad. And then Travis d'Arnaud after Game 3, it's a sanctuary, it makes you not want to talk to the media, all this stuff. Grow up. You get paid millions of dollars to play baseball, and you have to talk to the media for 10 minutes after the game, and they're in the locker room for what, a half hour? Give me a break. I have never seen, and this is coming from a guy who sat through the 49ers last year and saw them go on a media tour about, if we had a quarterback, we would have beat them. So you didn't. You lost. Go home and take your L. And then the Braves have topped them. I never thought I would see somebody top the 49ers from last year, but the Braves did it. They're like, oh my God, give me a break. Just absolutely disgusted. I mean, and then also all the sports writers talking about how how we need to reform the playoff series. It's not fair that it's not fair. It's not fair. This is what people were saying. In professional sports, we're talking about fair. It's not fair that the number 1 seed has 5 days of rest. Are you understanding what their argument is? It is not fair to the National League leader in wins in the MLB, the best offense in the league, Cy Young, MVP, home run leader. It's not fair that they got 5 days of rest. No, it's not. I want to keep playing. Oh my, I'd rather play in the wild card round. Lose more games then. Like, you won 100-something games. Your reward is 5 days of rest. And then they even knew. They were like, we're not going to let this be an issue this year. We're going to play simulated games. We're going to let fans in. We're going to be ready this time. And what did they do? They get shut out in game 1, and then they come back to Philadelphia tied 1-1 and get their ass handed to them. Like, take your L and go back to Atlanta and come into next year ready to go. Because up until this point, sure, you can have the wins. You can hang your NL East championship banners. Until you come into Citizens Bank Park and beat the Phillies, I'm sorry, you're not better. You're not better. Maybe last year, fine. One time, fool me once, whatever. It could have been a fluke, whatever the case may be. The Phillies got super hot. This year, I'm sorry, got no excuses. You're a better team. You're another year removed, specifically Rick Ronald Jr., from your ACL injury. You're the MVP of the National League. Like, have some freaking class, dude. Like, and is the team. Like, I didn't hear anything from Matt Olson. I didn't hear anything from Austin Riley. I heard something from Spencer Strider. He said it was on him. He said it was on him after throwing gems in game 1 and 4. Like, the Phillies scored 3 runs in game 1 and 3 runs in game 4. Out of the course of the series, that was a low. They scored 4 runs in game 2 and 10 runs in game 3. They got held to their lowest total in terms of runs by Spencer Strider. And what did he say? I wasn't good enough. That's a leader. That is leadership. Not they handed Philadelphia this. All right, my wife's gonna get mad at me. I gotta get off here. I'm probably yelling too much, but it's unbelievable how soft the Braves as an organization and their beat writers and everything are. It's sad. And then you look across. It's a sanctuary. The locker room's a sanctuary. And then you look across and you got Garrett Stubbs in overalls with a Budweiser box on his head talking to reporters about their deepest, darkest secrets. I'm sorry, but you missed me with that. I'm sorry. Like, it is just... I'm running out of words. And frankly, it's probably better that way because, like, I just can't believe that... I can't believe that the Braves are this soft. They have so many great Ozzy Albies. Like, I haven't heard anything out of these guys. AJ Minter. I haven't heard anything about these guys, from them. I heard from Acuna. I heard he's blaming everything on the reporters. But, like, oh my God. Like, Orlando Arcia. Literally, dude, you chirped Bryce Harper and got stared down by the man himself. And you might have had, one hit in the series? And you're going to chirp Philly fans? You're going to point at your ring finger? You're going to shut up. You're going to tell Philly fans to shut up, dude? Like, you're a professional athlete, dude. Pay attention to the game. But then again, he's a bench players talking like starters. I hate it. Shout out Champagne Poppy, but, like, come on, man. All right. I got to get off of here because I am yelling way too much right now. Bottom line, the Phillies go out and they knock the Braves off again. I'm sorry, the NL East runs through Philadelphia. You could take whatever regular season banner you want, but until further notice, the National League East runs through Philadelphia. And that will continue in the National League Championship Series. They will host the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'll just give a few seconds on that. I mean, Arizona absolutely went into LA and put their foot on the desk and said, this is my house now. They blew Clayton Kershaw out of the water, and then they go out and they have another big crooked number in the first inning of game 2, and then they come into their house in game 3, first playoff game in I don't even know how long, and they hit 4 solo home runs in the 3rd or 4th inning off Lance Lynn. MLB record. Like, and the best part about it was Gabriel Moreno, the 4th home run in that, hit a home run to the right field foul pole, and then they called it foul. They said, no, we reviewed it, it's a foul ball. The next pitch, he hits a tank to left center and knocks Lance Lynn out of the game. This was the team that I did not want to see in the wild card. You can go back and you can listen to the tape. I did not want to see this team in the wild card round because of Corbin Carroll specifically, but also because of the mojo and the Philadelphia type like run that I felt like they were having from last year. So It's going to be a battle. A lot of people think the Phillies have a cakewalk now in the World Series. No. No, 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 no. Especially in Philadelphia. I mean, obviously we have the best home field advantage in sports, but like it's good. They're going to come in ready to play. I think they're going to be much more ready to play than Atlanta was. Like they're going to say, I'm not worried about anything. I'm here to play ball. And I think the Phillies are ready. It's going to be a great, great series. I'm just going to put it out there. I call it Phillies in 4. What I'm thinking, I would love for them to clinch in Philadelphia. And it's making me want to take Phillies in 6. But I just think there's no way this goes more than 5. I'm going to call Phillies in 5. They'll clinch in Game 5 in Arizona. They'll jump in the pool, which will be extremely disrespectful, but because they're the Phils, they'll be able to do it. And I think they're going to win in 5 games. I want to take them in 6 because I want them to clinch in CBP. But I just think they have way too much in terms of starting rotation. I mean, Wheeler and Nola are each going to pitch 2 games. Like, Wheeler's going to have 1 and 4. Nola's going to have 2 and 5. And more than likely, they might put Wheeler in at Game 4, or excuse me, in Game 5, and then have Nola in at Game 6, potentially. Bullpen is going to be rested and ready to go, is extremely efficient for the Phillies. Arizona has a great bullpen as well. I don't want to take anything away from them. And they have a front-of-the-line starter in Zach Gallen. The rest of their rotation, a little bit more suspect, but Zach Gallen, phenomenal. Merrill Kelly is their number 2. Very, very good, so we had to worry about him too. But with the Phillies lineup, I'm sorry, I just don't see, number 1, their pitching staff holding the Phillies offense down, and then number 2, I don't know if their offense will be able to keep up. They've been hitting phenomenally and playing phenomenally. I just don't know if they're going to be able to keep up. Simple as that. So I got the Phillies in 5. It's going to be a great series. Game 1 is on, let me see. Game 1 is on Monday, I believe. We got Monday and Tuesday as Game 1 and 2 in Philadelphia. And then they go back to Arizona for a Thursday, Friday, Saturday set. So honestly, just an unbelievable series from everybody up and down the roster. An unbelievable series for Philadelphia in general. I mean, being the center of the national stage. I mean, they showed up with class. And then shame on you, Atlanta. I mean, shame on you. I hope you have all off season. I hope you get to go to Cancun and you get to bash on those reporters from there, because that's where you got to be, because you got no games on the schedule. All right. All right, that's going to do it for the show today. Once again, check the description below for all our social media handles. Feel free to shoot us any questions. We'll get them answered live on air. Thank you guys for tuning in once again, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here again next time. Let's go, Phils.